Saturdays. Happy Saturday, everyone. Um, I'm making a compromise because I promised you guys that I would answer some of your questions about life coaching versus therapy, um, and I didn't. I was supposed to do it on Tuesday, but I didn't do it. So here I am on a Saturday getting it done. Also, I'm still wearing my pajama bottoms, so I feel like it's a good middle ground, right? So the question was, what are your guys' questions on life coaching or therapy? And like, what are the differences and things like that? So I got some really interesting questions. There's about 7 or 6 of them. So I'm just going to do my best to answer those for you today. Please chime in if you have any, and I'd love to answer them for you. So the first question that I was going to answer, or that I'm going to answer, that I'm answering, is what are some signs that someone is ready for life coaching? Actually, let me just rewind really quick. I think a really good place to sort of summarize this and like begin is with like basically telling you guys that at least as far as I know, there are some similarities with life coaching and therapy, but they're extremely different ways of dealing with your mental health, your emotional health. There and you can Google this, but the main thing that I understand this as is that therapy is more focused on like the why are you the way that you are, like why are things happening for you this way, why did it come to this current state that you're in, right? Looking backwards, thinking about like what are the patterns from your past, what are the old maybe narratives that you've been telling yourself. Coaching focuses on how to move forward from here, right? How to build a process towards your goals, right? So those are the main differences that I can tell that might help you before we dive into these questions that I have. Is therapy is focused more on the why, right? The psychoanalyzing and that self-awareness piece. Understanding this more of the past and what's happened, what's guided you until this point, helping you to just understand yourself. Coaching focuses on how to move forward, right? Therapy, why? Coaching, how to move forward, how to build a process from here towards your goals. So, first question that I'm going to answer for you guys is this. Let me see if I have any questions. Cool. What are some signs that someone is ready for life coaching? So a lot of people come to me when they're at a point of feeling stuck, right? Maybe they've done some work on themselves up until this point. They can't figure out how to move forward. They feel frustrated. There's a lack of clarity, maybe a lack of organization as far as, what to do next. So those are some signs that someone's ready for a life coach, right? Is not feeling like they know how to move forward, but wanting to move forward, right? They're looking towards the future and they can't really see what to do next. This is a really good place to begin to seek out a life coach and to get somebody's perspective on how to go forward from there. The second question I'm going to answer that you guys asked is, what are some signs that someone needs therapy instead of life coaching? So I've read up a lot on this, and of course I am not a therapist, but a lot of people call me saying that they're seeking me out because they're seeking out a therapist. They're seeking out therapy, and so I have to explain to them that I am not a therapist. So I've done a lot of research around this, and what I've come to is, when you need therapy versus life coaching, typically it looks like somebody who has gone through a lot of trauma and they haven't processed it yet, right? They're holding a lot of things inside. Maybe they can't see fully what it is that they've been through. Maybe they've blocked some things out. Typically, therapy is meant to help you define what it is that you're experiencing. So if there's some confusion around that, and a lot of healthy people go to therapy. A lot of mentally healthy people go to therapy, and it's not necessarily like somebody is going to like put a stamp on you and say like, oh, this is why you're mentally ill or something like that, but it's to help you define what it is that you're experiencing. So if you're having all these experiences and you're like, what is this? Why is this here? Why does it keep showing up for me? I think it's a good place for you to start to go to therapy so you can help yourself define, what it is that's going on. At least that's my perspective there. The next question, these are great, by the way. Let me check if I have any questions from Instagram. No, perfect. So the next question is, what are some different styles of life coaching and what makes yours different? What makes mine different? There's so many different styles of life coaching. The way I kind of describe it is like, if you think about a athletic coach, there's a football coach, there's like a marathon coach, there's a tennis coach, there's a swimming coach, there's a gymnastics coach. There's so many different types of coaches, and it all depends on the goals that you're working towards. So you can hire a business coach, you can hire a general life coach, you can hire a relationship transition coach, which is what I specialize in. And most coaches have a really good ability to help you build forward from where you are. And so a lot of us will be able to help you through like a general life coaching experience. But I really love helping people through relationship transitions. So specifically what that means about mine is that if it's anything that has to do with transitioning and relationships, I find is really, really confusing, and it's a really, really tough place to navigate because there's so many emotions involved, and there's there's complexity to it because there's someone else, and often we find ourselves in relationship transitions based on the different relationships that we've seen growing up. So there's a lot of layers to it, and I love coaching people through this process and helping them to sort of figure out how to move forward through it. Things like divorce, breakup, maybe being single for a while and wanting to get into a relationship, maybe someone who's in a relationship already and doesn't know whether to stay or to go, or they want to get closer to their partner and are not sure how. There's many different transitions within relationships that I specialize in helping people through. So that's kind of what makes mine, I guess, stand apart. There are people like me. So if the way I speak and the way I am doesn't quite resonate, but you're going through some of the things that I mentioned, you can find other coaches who do what I do too. I think a simple Google would help you to find somebody for you. So I hope that answers that question. Next question, I have 3 more. Can life coaching and therapy be done concurrently? Is this a good idea? Let's see. Yes, actually I've done life coaching and therapy together myself. And I think it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to process. You're dealing with things from your past and understanding past behaviors along with building a way towards your future. And so it can be overwhelming to some people. Of course, we're all different. I think when I was doing it in tandem, I was at a time in my life, and I tend to be this way where I just get sick and tired of something, and I'm like, I want to know what this is, and I want to know how to move forward, and I want to do it now, right? And I need help, and I need support. Let's do this. And so I do think they can be done in tandem. I don't think it's for everybody, right? I've definitely spoken to some clients who were like, whoa, I wasn't prepared for what life coaching entailed. And I'm going to therapy right now and I can't do both, right? So coaching is a lot of like, let's push you outside of your comfort zone. Let's take these new actions and steps forward. And it's really difficult to sort of be in such a vulnerable space when you're trying to progress in a certain area. And So if you're not ready for that, I would say, maybe start with therapy. If you need to reach a certain baseline first, if you don't feel like you're quite at your neutral, right? So maybe start with therapy and then go to coaching after that. But they can be done together. That's a great question. Let's see. What are some things that can get in the way of your life coaching experience? So this is a big one because it's an investment, right? I would hate to not tell you of like there's potential things that could make life coaching really difficult for you to experience. So here's some, I guess, obstacles that could get in the way of you really getting your value, getting your money's worth out of coaching, getting your time spent, right? Getting all of that value met. So here's the thing. As I've said, if you're not ready to get outside your comfort zone and take different actions and move forward, you're going to find yourself pretty frustrated. You're going to find yourself with a coach that's probably telling you and holding you accountable and saying like, what's going on? Like, why aren't you pushing forward? What are these self-sabotaging behaviors? Let's push you a little harder. Like, let's lean into the discomfort, right? If you're not ready for that, because not everyone is, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not ready for that, you're not going to get anything out of life coaching, right? You have to be willing to take action, or at least have somebody hold you accountable to taking those actions and asking you why you didn't, right? Not everybody's ready to face themselves in that way. And it can feel extremely vulnerable. So I would say if you're not ready for that, that's definitely an obstacle that's going to get in the way of your coaching. You have to be open to somebody giving you honest feedback, who's on your team, who's saying like, let's do this. Like, I know, you're capable of more. Like, let's see what you can do. It's not meant to keep you feeling small or in your comfort zone. It's meant to push you outside of that and make you realize like what more you're capable of. So, there's that. And then I just got a question. Is there any specific artist albums that you'd recommend that have really helped you through a hard time in life? Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, like any album that I've listened to when I've gone through a breakup or dark period. I remember the very first time I went through a really tough time. I think I was like 19 years old. I, on repeat, was listening to the Norah Jones album and Coldplay that was out at that time, just like over and over again on my boombox. I had a CD, and I kind of like getting in my feelings when I'm going through something difficult. And honestly, like that's what I would challenge many of my clients to do is like, if you're feeling something really difficult, now is not the time to run from that. Now is not the time to deny ourselves those really difficult feelings. Now is the time to sit, at least for the moment, and ask, what is this showing me? And to really feel and process all of that. That's kind of why I got my tattoo. Was during my divorce, to remind me to really feel and to lean into the experience of heartbreak and what these things teach us. So that was I don't know if that answered a lot, but that was the first one that I could think of. Do you think about writing a book? I actually am writing a book right now. Yeah, I'm writing a bit of a memoir, and it's also going to include my art pieces, my self-portraits that I've painted over the years. And yeah, it's in the infancy stages, but it's being written. I'm honestly having a block around it because there's some fear there. There's some comfort zone wanting to come back in and saying like, don't put your story out there completely. So yeah, even coaches need coaches. But yeah, I am writing a book. Yeah, thanks for asking. Ooh, now that I put it out there, I'm kind of like sweating a little bit. Great questions, thanks. Let's see. when to transition from therapy to life coaching. I think we've kind of covered this a little bit. When you're at a good neutral level, I say go for it. If you want to move forward, go for it. If you still have questions about like, you know, whether or not like you're ready to, I guess, work with a life coach and be challenged and be brought outside of your comfort zone, I'd say give somebody a call. Most people have free consultation calls. I do. So, and I, you know, I'm not here to convince anybody to get coached over to get therapy, and I'll give you honest feedback. Most coaches will. It's in our code of ethics. So if you're wondering if you're ready to transition from therapy to coaching, it's different for everybody, but I would talk to a coach that you feel resonates with you and their messaging resonates. I will say that it is more of an investment, I believe, than therapy in a shorter amount of time, I guess. So therapy will kind of move session by session basis. Most coaches will give you either a short-term or long-term process to work through that it has a definite beginning and end, right? So I actually have a program, an 8-session program, and you can work that from every week for 8 weeks, or you can do a 4-month mentorship, which is like every other week we meet, or you can have it over the course of a year. But it's all a process. It's to help you move through the specific thing that you're being challenged with or the goal that you have. And I've seen it work wonders for so many clients, but it is something that is, you know, if you've been doing therapy, there's a big difference there, right? Therapy kind of asks for you to just pay after each session, but coaching, more than likely, and at least how I run my coaching business, is I want a commitment up front because I'm fully committed to seeing you through this journey. So I need you to be there with me 100%. Like, just like you would hire like a running coach, right? They're going to be showing up for you every day to help you practice and help you see your blind spots and help you pivot and grow and learn. So you've got to be fully committed too, right? It takes, I'm only here to help show you options and to maybe shine a light in these different areas. It's up to you to actually do the work. So there's a big difference. It's more of like a team effort, I would say. But you're the one that's going to be running the race, right? I'm sitting on the sidelines taking the notes, helping you along the way. Final question, at least that you guys have sent me. What are some important moments and milestones in one's life in which life coaching could be incredibly beneficial? Gosh, I would say any. You know, I've coached people who are like gonna be leaving college and they're like, what do I do next? What do I do going forward? Like, who am I? I love coaching clients who are about to graduate college and really map out the rest of their 20s. If any of you have heard of Gary Vee, he did a video the other day on that your 20s are about like trying new things, and I love that approach, and that's a similar, I have similar beliefs around that. And I also think we can be really deliberate about like how to move forward in our 20s, even while we're experimenting and trying a bunch of different things. Obviously, I coach around relationship transitions. That's that's an important moment that you would definitely want to, especially when it comes to marriage. Oh my gosh, I wish I had a coach about like, when do you know whether or not you should get married? I've coached people in this space, and it's really helped them to get so much clarity before signing the most complex contract you'll ever sign. I would say I also help people through retirement, like what they want to see, you know, for that next phase in their life. I help people when they want to move forward in their career, make a career shift, have kids. So any sort of transition I've really helped people through, and this is where I can say coaching is important and really beneficial. Whenever there's a shift in our life, it's really great to revisit like, okay, what's most important to me right now, and what does that look like going forward in this next phase? So I hope that answered that last question. Let me see. I think I had a couple more on Instagram. Is the book going to be for sale at some point? Yeah, I'd hope so. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm not really sure how the whole process works, but my goal is to have it out by summer next year. So, yeah, there's that. And that's the first of a few books that I plan to write. If you will need any feedback before it comes out, let me know. Cool, thank you. Do you believe human is monogamy or humans are monogamous or polygamous? Polygamy? I don't quite understand that question. I think humans are humans, and I think the choice is yours, obviously. It's not. One thing that I will say is, although I do offer a lot of opinions and advice, I don't make decisions for you. So that's something I think, as far as relationships go, that's always the individual's personal decision. I have helped people actually move from polyamorous relationships into monogamous relationships and vice versa. Those are relationship transitions that I've actually seen and helped guide people through as well. But it's not from a place of me telling you what to do. It's from you telling me what you want and me helping you to figure out a clear path in that direction. So, great question. And I think, what would you say got you into considering being a life coach? Let's see. I made a list when I went through my big life transition. So I got a divorce, changed careers, moved, and had the death of a loved one. I wrote a little bit about this in like 2 posts back on my Instagram, all in like the same week. I think it was even like, yeah. So my life pretty much broke apart in that moment, and I didn't have any answers moving forward. I didn't have a new relationship I was moving towards. I didn't know where I wanted to live. I didn't know what I would do with a career. I turned into like an overnight gypsy of sorts, because I had reached just a breaking point, and I knew a lot of things had to change. And so with a lot of reflection, a lot of time spent alone wondering how I had gotten there to begin with, how I had gotten to that breaking point, I had to look at, okay, like, how can I rebuild? And I looked at all the pieces in front of me of my life, and I thought, what do I need to move forward? And this is actually how I arrived at my coaching how I arrived at deciding to become a life coach. But also, part of my experience going through this transition is what I teach to my clients and how I help them move forward. But I made a list. What are the things I already have going for me? Like, what are my strengths, right? What are my opportunities? What are the things I would do for free? What are the things I'm already doing without anyone even asking? I love talking to people. I love working from home. That's something that I didn't want to not do. I love having freedom to make my own hours, make my own wages. So I knew starting a business, my own business, was the one thing that I needed to do. And I knew that I needed to be able to talk to people on a really soul level. And I knew that I needed to be able to help them to move forward through a really difficult time in their life. So that's how I came to this decision. And I decided to spend a lot of my savings and send myself to life coaching certification program, which I went to the Southwestern Institute of Healing Arts in Arizona, and it changed my life and taught me so much. And I've enlisted a lot of the things that I learned from that course into my own life as a personal, growth process, but also into my coaching clients as well. Great question. Anything else? What was your previous career? Oh yeah, I've shared this actually quite a bit, and a lot of this information is on my YouTube channel if you're interested in learning more about me. But my previous career, I was working as a property manager with my ex-husband. We would buy houses and we would fix them up, and then we would keep them to rent them out to people. So we had a property management slash house flipping business together, which is why I had to change careers when I got a divorce, because I could no longer work with I could no longer work for the business that we created. Yeah, and honestly, that was like my main thing, was sort of playing a supporting role in everyone else's life, and which is why I really didn't know what I wanted to become out of that relationship, and I had to spend a lot of time in introspection and looking at like who I really was and what actually brought me to life. So yeah, and I'm an open book. You can ask me any of those questions. All right, guys, I think that's about it. Yeah, subscribe to my, I always feel funny saying that, like, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. But like, yeah, if you want to, do it. I love making videos, and I do it on the reg. Thanks for watching today. It's been real. Hope you guys are having a good Saturday. If you have any other questions about this topic, feel free to message me. So much gratitude for you all. Bye.